Ooh, hey gang, here it is. We're live, and I am your griot Sensal Bob, and here we are this evening, Sunday. Is it Sunday? Guess it is. They all seem to roll into one, and all is good. I'm back on Dreamy Dreamland with Sensei Al Bob, and I hope you guys have figured that out and you come and join. And I want to tell you that this is just a nice storyteller. I'm your griot, your nice little storyteller. I'm here to tell you a story, right? A morning glory. And, I'm going to wait for you to show up. I'm going to get a glass of water and get this and get that. I'll be right back. But I wanted to start at 7:30, and here it is, getting close. I gotta, I'm gravitationally challenged, so I have to rock a little bit to get up. Rock me, baby, rock me, baby, rock me, baby, rock me all night long. Rock me, rock me, rock me, oh, rock me, baby, rock me, baby, rock me, baby, all night long. Okay, here I'm coming in. Oh, I'm coming in, we're landing. Okay. So, my little disclaimer is everything is everything. All things are as they should be. And don't believe anything I say because it's just a story. That don't taste like anything. Oh, let's see if I can find something that'll taste like something. Ugh. Rock me, baby, rock me, baby, rock me, baby, all the night long. Woo. Okay, here we go. Rock me, baby, rock me, baby, rock me, baby, all night long. Ooh, that's that little gumball over there. Let's get magic stick. Rock me, baby. Oh, so we have to smudge the World Wide Web. Here we go with the old smudge stick. And smudge is just sage. Rock me, baby. And it's a good thing. It kind of clears the air. Oh, look, we've been on for 3 minutes and 33 seconds. So light it up. Little fire good. So we're gonna smudge the old internet here. Yep. The old smudge stick. Boop-a-doo-boop-boom. Boop-a-dee-bee-bee. Boop-a-doo. Ba-da-ba-ba. Boop-a-dee-bee-bee. My channel. Playlist.
They have no concept of work. They have no concept of, as I put them up on the other live feed that I couldn't get back to start up. I don't know how that works, but anyway. Mr. Spencer, who initially published the transcript of Ariel from the domain for Mrs. McLeod.
The domain is
he didn't
The Hidden Hand.
understand the implications of what Ariel was saying. He didn't have a clue because he didn't know the background history of the Anunnaki and the Greys and the Nephilim that those of us who study those background know. And so when Ariel said, well, eventually, and I'm paraphrasing now because I don't even have a copy of my own book. When Ariel said that the domain has an interest in this area eventually to administer it, what he didn't say was that in 1250 or thereabouts, according to somebody's calendar, when their starship got here and was somehow disabled and everybody disembarked, that was an accident. Okay. All right. And if that was an accident, my name is Elmer.
Hey, so we're on the live chat. Anybody
Elmer,
wants to chat?
Okay. That was no accident. That was the domain's step onto our soil in order to administer. And they brought 2,000 to 3,000 of their most resilient, most creative souls. And what happened was the Renaissance. Got it? That's where the Renaissance came from. All right? First, they traveled all around our world. And their architecture and their symbology and their way of thinking traveled all around the world. That's why we see Greco-Roman buildings in Japan and Indonesia, okay, Patagonia, okay. They got around quick.
They got around.
And they are control freaks. I'm putting up 2 links to the side or down below, wherever it goes. The first, okay, now I have to deal with this other. Let me deal with this other. Let's see what's going on. All right.
This is Emily Windsor. Go to her site.
Let's crash out of this one. Okay. Okay. I crashed out of that one. And that's where I have the links. I'll get this, I'm just a little slow. All right, so the domain arrived here in the 1200s, right around the time of the Black Death reset. Remember the Black Death? Okay. And the Inquisition reset.
When she says reset, they're basically just
all of those
reforming.
Events were names for somebody trying to take over, as they still are doing. All right. Now, I find very encouraging and
Hey, Rhonda.
it really backs me up. Hi, Cheryl.
We're listening to Emily, the daughter of King Edward of England.
I think it was John Levi did a video on Antarctica, and he was talking about the tribes around Patagonia. And the tribes around Patagonia not only knew about the Nephilim, they still know about the Nephilim. All right, they're still there, okay. But they also knew that we, the children of the Anunnaki, were subject to a treaty that they were not subject to. And the form of tribute that we
Emily
were
Windsor
to be
Cragg.
supplying to our patrons.
Everyone should check her channel out.
Every so often, we sacrifice lives for them, and that is the worship of Baal and the worship of Moloch. Okay, that it's there. But the tribes down in Patagonia didn't have to do that, and they weren't willing to do that. had a brain, we wouldn't be willing to do that either.
Yep.
Because the Greada Treaty was based on the El-Anu Treaty that set up this relationship between superior races and inferior races. So we have a two-caste social system no matter what culture you live in. There are the privileged elites who know what's going on, and there are the masses who are kept stupid, not just uninformed.
Not just uninformed.
It were just uninformed. But no, they're literally
stupid,
cognitively dumbed down.
Yep.
They're dumbed down with preferences for ease and comfort, ergo drugs, for sensation and violence, ergo sports, for endless trivialities, ergo consumerism. That's how the minds of the people walking around here are kept trivial and shallow.
Yep.
By those tools of the elite. And so in order to get free from...
See, Emily put it really down. I mean, because she is genetically there. She's actually a reptile. She comes from that Windsor knot of the English monarchy, and she's got that in her DNA. But I've met some nice reptiles. I've had some pet snakes that were very sweet. And we are in, as David Icke is really, putting it down about we're in this, holographic matrix. And 5G is going to fry our brain so we can't get out of it. And it will go down to, our DNA, and we will go deep into unconsciousness, what that Emily's talking about. And but the beauty of humanity, there are many of us who, because of where we came from, what our karma is, what our genetic history is, right now I am just like my parents. I am Irish, German. That's my mom, Irish and German. My mother was a Steinbeck. John Steinbeck was my second cousin. I used to sit next to him at Thanksgiving dinner. And that's why my mother loved writing. It's like in her gene pool. And the other was the Reardons. And her father was, came from this very interesting gene pool of tinker inventors. And that's where I get my tinkering inventor. So I have this German kind of razor blade Nazi intellect and this kind of organic, psychic inventedness, meaning I kind of go into state and invent things. And then I kind of come here in this meat puppet and put them together. That's why, I used to be able, when I worked for Xerox, I would just put my hands on the machine while these guys would take it apart and get toner all over them. I'd just say, bing, and it would work, right? And I would work on the really complicated machines, not just the little thing that copied your shit in your office, but like machines that were gigantic machines that did blueprints and all kinds of special kind of things. And that's why I was sent off to Xerox PARC. That was my first time in California. When I guess I was 23. I was working for a foundry, Joe Battle's foundry in the Bronx. And we had these gigantic Xerox machines that copied, blueprints. And basically, this was the first, he was one of the first guys who had a Xerox computer that was CAM, computer aided design, CAD CAM. And we would design things on the computer, hit the button, and it printed out of the blueprint. And that's the machines I worked on. And I only got to learn how to do it because Joe had these big machines in our factory, and they were always down. So he never paid his Xerox bill. And the Xerox guy, hey, you got to give us back those machines. You haven't paid. And he said, fuck it. I'm not, going to give you these machines because I paid you up front and they never worked. So, well, and so they kind of negotiated and they said, okay, send us one of your guys. We'll send him to Xerox PARC in California, which was one of the first places of the Silicon Valley. I think it was the first Silicon Valley thing. I mean, Hughes Aerospace was kind of there. I mean, that whole kind of DARPA thing was there. But Xerox was the first real Silicon guys because Grandpa Xerox, he invented modern personal computers. He was going to take it away from from IBM. And he's going to, instead of the big machines, he was going to, because the whole thing of integrated circuits, and he had this vision that everyone, what we got. And he invented it soup to nuts. And the board in New York said, oh, we don't do computers, we do copying machines. And he was like old enough to retire, so he said, screw it. And that's Bill Gates, all of those guys of the Silicon Valley were there at Xerox PARC. And he basically, like, Xerox invented the mouse. Xerox invented the Windows operating system. All of these things that made the personal computer, Xerox did. And he gave them open source. He said, okay, you assholes at the board, fine, good. See you later. I'm just selling out. I take my money. I'll see you bye. Because he knew that if Xerox didn't grow into something other than just Xerox machines, because the Japanese were, turning them out, and the Koreans were just about to go for it. And the Koreans are like Japanese meet the Irish folk, meet the Nazis. That's, South Korea, meaning you think China's was amazing. South Korea outdid them. And one reason why North Korea is being kept under the thumb of the PARC moron is because the North was really more industrious. The South were the lazy ones, right? If the South can do what they did, just think what the friggin' North, they'll eat everyone's lunch. And that's why they're kept under the thumb. And all of this stuff is just open your eyes, look at history, see what happened before. But the history keeps changing, and Emily.
The whole mess. You have to free yourself from their thoughts, from their ideas, because that's where they work. They believe. Now, let's talk a little bit about the belief system and the philosophy of those Anunnaki and the domain, because the domain comes from the same set of ideas.
Domain is the hidden hand. It's the Illuminati.
Life is the same. Well, as I said yesterday, if you live in time, you have a completely different set of stimuli than if you don't live in time, if you live in eternity. So all life is not the same.
Again, no linear
Secondly,
time. Alpha and the Omega.
Those who in our eternity, the way they project their consciousness is by manifesting their visualizations.
Right.
They do that with their mind.
And that's what we can do.
Down here in 3D, you don't do that.
No.
You don't manifest a paycheck.
You can. I do.
The work.
I live like a millionaire, but I'm not.
They have no concept of what.
I don't work
they
like
have
one.
no concept of when, because they're in a constant now. They have no concept of where, because the outer atmospheric space where the raked it and sheared off its rings. So it's in a different condition from what it used to be. Is it going to leave again? I don't know. Is it going to get part?
Here's one of the.
My name is Paul Peter, and I'm a former Minister of National Defense for Canada.
Disclosure, guys.
This disturbing message is for the several million Americans and others who were kind enough to listen to the 22-minute presentation at the Citizens Disclosure hearing in Washington.
And that's just
in May 2013. And for anyone else
old news.
who cares deeply about the future of their country
Yes.
and the planet Earth.
Ooh, yeah.
The U.S. is in grave danger. Strangely, the peril is not from foreign enemies, but from enemies within.
Yeah.
So I beg you to listen to a summary of the major problems,
Here's the summary.
followed by some suggestions
Okay.
as to how the U.S. might be recaptured by loyal Americans.
Like you guys.
Enormous relief
Like you guys. All three of you.
friends who have been watching helplessly from the sidelines. The stakes couldn't be higher.
Couldn't be higher.
So I spent the 15 months following the Washington hearing feverishly writing a new book, incorporating what I think every American has the right to know and must know to end the incredible naivety observed at the citizens' hearing. The name of the book is The Money Mafia, A World in Crisis.
Oops.
Most of my friends, both American and Canadian, tend to agree that the world is in a state of crisis.
Woo!
But very few are aware that the problems.
And that's pretty much the Hegelian extract, problem, action, solution. Solution is what the hidden hand wants, a new world order. Right? Everyone having 5G go straight into every cell of their body. So you can't escape the Internet of Things. Everything, every piece of clothes has a RFID little chip, and everything you do is, when Orwell wrote 1984, he wasn't saying, hey, kids, watch out for this. No, that's what he wanted to have happen. He was putting it in the collective consciousness, If that book hadn't sold, they would have given it away, and they basically did. Every high school kid has to read this book because they wanted them to be programmed, to be Winston, to be, what was Newspeak but fake news? It already was, it was the Hegelian aspect, the Tavistock Institute, since the Civil War, has been studying humanity's psyche so they can control and manipulate it all the way through, CIA's MK Ultra and the butterfly effect. And pretty much everyone has been programmed by television and media and their cell phone and the internet and the movies and the whatever, right? For someone earlier about 5G, I had explained to them the difference between physical radioactive materials and electromagnetic radiation. Pretty much the same thing. Thanked me for educating him to the end. One is, that little isotope of plutonium is ionized radiation, and it's going through, like an X-ray through your body. But so is microwave, and that turns you into like the hot dog in your microwave oven, And the only difference, around here, which we're in a pretty rural area, they're putting up 5G antennas on every friggin' phone pole there is. Not only that, they're putting satellites in space. There will be no escaping it. One is a wave, the other is a particle. Yeah, but they still affect, and the other thing about 5G is that it's like tuned to your brain waves and also tuned to your little mitochondria of every freaking cell of your body. And we live in this, holograph of a reality. I mean, this table, me, this hat, there is more space in this hat than there is, 0.005% of this hat is matter. The rest is empty space or space. I don't want to call it empty. Aiden, what is it when the message is retracted? You said something you didn't want to say? Is that what it is? Anyway, yes, 5G's high frequency tuned to mess with your DNA. Yep. Turn you into, a cooked, weenie, But we who have, see, the thing is, all this stuff is still a hologram. We still have the potential, if we come together as the collective, as the cadre, and serve love's co-creation, not money, not the illusion of a Luciferian material world. Let's see. I pressed enter with my fat finger. Oh, yes, my fat finger. But everything is getting skinnier these days. Anyway, and the thing is, time is this illusion. It's not a linear thing. No, it's like, right? It's the alpha and the omega. Or, the Big Bang was like that. We're just experiencing it like this because because of our ascended conscious free will, we chose to be part of love's co-creation instead of being part of the hegemony of heaven. And that's what Lucifer got pissed off about, that love's co-creation. Lucifer was the head angel, and love's co-creation picked us, this slime ball little creature, over it, bango, right? And thus became this conflict of duality, good, evil, right? Which there is none, right? And all of this is just a little sandbox for us to play out in. So we have the choice. We can choose. We can. All we have to do is visualize the world we want to be living in, and that's what I do every day. I wake up in tremendous pain, because my genetic background, I pretty much am everything physically my mother was. So I'm more the German part. I had a choice between the Italian, the Irish, and the German. My little bag of water here is more Germanesque, where my brothers and sisters are more Italian and a little Irish. So I have all the German stuff that my mom had, all of the stuff. But she was messed up from 40 on, and she died at 103. So more than 50 years, she was like, right? In the last 28 years of life, I took care of her, so I kind of saw it. But I still was a friggin' moron and jumped in the swimming pool of the desperate lawyers and lived a hedonist life for 10 years that put 250 pounds on me. And that's why I didn't have to get the shit she had. Anyway, but it's just like the craziness I went through with YouTube and my phone and the laptop and all that. Yeah, it was, stressful and nuts for a day and a half, but I learned a lot of shit. I now can navigate all of this a little bit better. And I'm a little more confident, so I can try to push this button and that button without worrying that I'm going to lose everything. And so that's what we have to do, right? So tonight, here we are. Look, I'm having so much fun. It's almost 30 minutes. So we're only 3 of us. So I'm going to wait till there's a few more, because tonight's we're going to have a guided meditation. We haven't had one in a while. And where I'm taking you is I'm going to take you to Asheville, North Carolina, and I'm going to take you into Otter's, peninsula of love through the French Broad of time and space. And Asheville, between the 1890s and, today, that's why the Biltmores picked that place, and the Astors. I mean, yes, the train went through there, but it was this harmonic, resonant kind of place of amazing healing and power. These guys were power, and that's why they get waxed. Did you know those people died on, the Titanic? All of the, everything that was the, Tartarian Empire, the Gilded Age, the robber barons, all those guys, the old wealth of America was obliterated, and the 4 most powerful families went down with the Titanic. I mean, that was the reason it went down, to kill those guys, to get rid of, Morgan, Rockefeller, DuPont, and Carnegie. the new wealth, the more reptilian, mean dudes, sank that ship. Pretty much.
Shopping for a car starting to feel like a full-time job? Try Car Gurus, the fast, easy way to find great deals. Car Gurus has all makes.
All makes, yes.
Lowe's, White House, Slaughter, Archons, Anunnaki, Enki, Enlil, Lucifer, Marduk, UN, NWO, Vatican, Soul, Luce, Harvesters, Matrix, NASA, Fluff, Robert Stanley, West Penn Papers, latest Leap Project. Back to it.
The League Project, he's another sock puppet. But he's, again, got pretty good information.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us this edition of Leap Project. I'm your host, Rex Bear, and we have Robert Stanley with us
Ooh, Bob.
from unicusmagazine.com. Now, Robert is a professional, an
He's a pro.
engineer, a researcher, and the amount of information that he brings to the table tonight here at the Leap Project is nothing short of astonishing. Now, we get into not only decades of verified evidence, we also get into the Battle of LA. Now, Mr. Stanley was visited from an unmarked black helicopter
Ooh.
several years ago.
He brought him his
Started
cheeseburger
talking about
and the
smoke
Domino's
specific
pizza.
topics, and that sparked his interest even more to get into certain
Sparked his interest, that Domino pizza
and
had magic mushrooms.
discussions, I guess you could say.
Could say
Now,
that.
Mr. Stanley claims he has met
Stanley Steamer?
Yes, the Enki, the
He met him.
manipulator of mankind,
He met
the
him.
genetic
In
scientist
Walmart.
himself. Wait till you hear his testimony about that. Nothing short of astonishing.
Astonishing.
On top of that, Mr. Stanley has also correlated enough information that I feel parallels strongly with Zachariah Sitchin, Mauro Bellino, Gerald Clark, and other
And others.
researchers into the ancient astronaut theory.
Woo.
He gets into details and descriptions of Enki, Enlil, and other factions fighting for control of an empire that has gone galactic.
Ooh, the Eye of Horus. Woo.
Details of the Archons,
Woo.
where they came from, how they influence not only mankind, but he feels the Archons have overcame many minds in the Anunnaki bloodlines. And he talks about how he feels that Enki was actually taken over by these Archon parasites and
Ooh.
other Anunnaki.
Kind of
They
like
went into a forbidden zone of the universe
in the Stargate,
because they felt they could do
the
anything.
little worms and the Egyptian guys.
And the information he brings to the table is very compelling. So I'd strongly recommend sitting through this 2-hour presentation if you want to hear about the Archons, about the Anunnaki, about the ancient astronaut theory. And a lot of this information is highly detailed.
Really, monsters on this planet, genetic freaks in laboratories that he then released, much like we see that is happening again now with CRISPR. If you don't know what I'm talking about, folks,
Potato
look up
chips?
CRISPR,
Potato chips.
and it is genetic.
Those are
editing.
genetic monsters. Potato
We shouldn't
chips.
be doing this, but we are.
We
We
are.
shouldn't be creating artificial intelligence to compete with us and control us.
But we are.
We are. But why are we doing this?
Good
Well,
question.
in my opinion, again, Enki and his minions are controlling us, and they have been doing so ever since they.
Enki's supposed to be Lucifer, and he was supposed to be the guy who gave us the freedom to choose, right? To have an open mind, right? He's supposed to be the snake. And the other guy who's supposed to be really good, his bro, is the eagle. And there's always been this conflict, good and evil, good and evil. And the Greeks and the Romans, Enki was the guy with the trident, the under the water guy. And the eagle was the guy head of, it was Thor's daddy. Anyway, all of this is a metaphor. And in a lot of ways, it's distraction. Just like UFOs are distraction, just like a lot of stuff is distraction. And come on, we need a few more people before we go on the guided meditation. Come on, at least 5. At least 5. Come on. At least 5. Let's see what we're saying here. So Aiden said I was so he's going on about 5G. One is a wave, the other is a particle. 5G is very high frequency, tuned to mess with our DNA and also our brains. Accidentally pressed enter. Oh, the fat finger. Yes. Okay. Let's see. Oops. Where's my little? Oops. There we go. Is anybody else? No. Anyway, nobody else has anything to say. Come on, there's 3 of you. Let's Rhonda. Hey, Rhonda, say something, Rhonda. What do you think of this conversation so far? Let's see. What else can I find here? Boop, 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 boop. Okay, Davey.
This stone tablet found in Safari might tell us where the Tower of Babel once stood.
I looked at it as a scientist and physical evidence. It was a warning.
It was a warning.
Put a spanner in this works because to let your mind expand,
David Icke.
your sense of the possible expand, so that eventually it breaches the walls of this perceptual prison. And at that point, you start to perceive things, you start to perceive the prison in a very, very different light. You start to question it, you start to see things, you start to observe things that you weren't seeing before, because instead of being in the simulation and of the simulation, you are in the simulation in terms of the body, but your perceptions have now expanded beyond the simulation. Now you have another point of reference, and you start to see the world in a completely different way. And the more you allow your mind to expand and your consciousness to expand into these realms beyond the simulation, the more blatant and obvious the simulation and how it works becomes. And this is what they're terrified of. This is why they have to control information, because they need to keep us in a knowledge prison, which becomes a perceptual prison. Otherwise, we'd suss what's going on. And the other thing, of course, is you come into the world, you don't stay here that long by our perception of time, and you're out. The idea is to get them in, exploit them and get them out and get another lot in, and let none of them stay around for long enough or have access to information expanded to realize where they are, what they are, and what they're actually experiencing. And this is why, again, through the ages since this hijack began, the people, that authority, whatever era, whatever culture, the people that authority are most terrified of are the seers and the shamans and the people who can have access to another reality to therefore give a different fix on this reality. They're the ones that they're terrified of. And that's why when the empires of Europe, dominated by the British Empire, went out and colonized the world, they absolutely targeted the shamans and the carriers of the ancient knowledge and the people who were out there beyond the simulation, who could see beyond the prison, if you like. They're the ones that they're terrified of, and they're still targeting them.
And that's who we are, gang. That's the cadre.
I'll turn myself off a sec. You can speak.
Now, I just got back.
So, I like David. He's like a whole circus that's going on about, the disclosure, all of those guys who have conferences. He at least is staying to message, right? He is like serving love's co-creation the best he can. Why he lives in the Isle of Man is kind of where he comes from. It's like, why am I in America, not any of the 20 or 30 places I could have stayed, and would have been treated very nice, and I could have had a really nice life. And not that said that I'm not having a nice life now, but I would be further out of, well, who knows? That's the beauty of life. You make all these little steps here, steps there, and that's, the kind of Mandela effect we actually, I love that scene out of Star Trek Next Generation where Riker, they, zip through a zillion light years and come to this place where he's looking on the big screen and there's like 5,000 Rikers, one's, a drag queen, one's the president, one's selling used cars, one's, and he's like watching all of these, and that's us. There's so many of us, and we get to choose because it's a hologram. We can choose. Now we are forced to think we can't. We're forced to think we are sheeple. We're forced to think we need to stay in our place. Ooh, it's too threatening. Oh, I can't, John Boy is constantly petrified of doing anything, right? And again, John is not alone. He is the canary in the coal mine, So that is the kind of story there. Boo. Let's see, where's the button? There it is.
Is this working? I've never done this before.
There's.
This is fun. Yeah. Okay. The computer is still down. I've got the old tower is in the dumpster out back, and
the dumpster out.
Be ready tomorrow.
So poor Emily. They've been going
after
after her tooth and nail.
I'll be back soon.
She would be great to be
this
part
is
of
my
the bus.
backup now. My new computer's a laptop, and it'll have all the features I need to do everything I need to do.
She got it. Didn't last
And
more
so
than
this has been a
4
very
hours till he got
interesting
fried.
experience. Getting the office reorganized. What I'm discovering is a lot of materials that to sit back and think about what needs to happen.
Woo.
Hello, friends. How are you? Well, I've been suffering from 2 computers down hard for a couple of days, which has given me the freedom to pull away and give some thought to the effects of technology. All right. I'm
That's why I'm blowing sage on the World
new,
Wide Web here.
a new computer. And this one was miraculously saved. Okay, it was wonderful. This particular tower, I guess you call it a desktop, used to be a corporate computer for a computer company that will. All right. And so I'm thinking about the mental freedom in the West today deliberately trains down, stupefies, and confuses the children.
No child left behind. What does that mean? Every child left behind.
Is if they don't figure things out for themselves and go their own way, they're going to sink. And so that's what they do. They don't listen to anybody. They don't believe anybody. They don't want to hear from anybody. Yeah, I don't know. I have a very difficult time talking to people of the younger generation because they just don't want to hear anything I may have to say. And I think that has been programmed into them by the schools. The schools say, you're all right already. You're all right just the way you are. The former generations have been
Tune on, tune in, tune out.
They've led us into nothing but misery, so don't pay any attention to them. Let's all just be world citizens. Well, the problem with that is that there's no honest process for being a world citizen that guarantees honest behavior will get you a good outcome. The fact is, the more honest you are in the globalist methodology, the more you're going to be exploited and used. It's a ticket. It's a ticket to corruption. And that's why so many young people have fled their countries, which were corrupted, and they're coming here hoping to find less corruption.
Good luck with
And
that.
now they're seeing it's just as corrupt here as it was there. And that's why I say this is a cosmic situation that will result in a cosmic solution.
Yep.
Okay.
And that's what our evening
Okay.
travels will be. But we need more than 3 people. Come on.
As are you. Okay. And Leanne.
Now we're down to 2.
Well, it's okay to be mean sometimes because it means that you're hurting inside. I don't take it that seriously when somebody gets mean to me online anymore. In fact, I've learned to be a pretty good troll's troll. I can take down a troll. Okay, sweetie, it's good to see you all. I'll be back tomorrow.
As the highway.
Well, good morning. Don't you just love Monday morning? Yep, we love Monday morning. What we're continuing to see here in the West is a continual flow of information about social chaos. Social chaos, riots, migration, political corruption, economic collapse, yada, 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 drug running, gun running, people disappearing, yada, yada, yada.
Yada, yada, yada.
And that's covering up what's really going on. You know that. I know that.
We all know
I
that.
I want to put a bug in your ear that if we don't pay attention to the physical reality, we're going to lose the physical reality. I'm placing a link down below of a video I received this morning. Who keeps silence, who keeps secrets, and who are now covering our skies with milky white chemicals and propagating 5G. Do you know what 5G does? 5G is a vibratory rate at a frequency that explodes water molecules. Okay?
And we're a bag of
Explodes
water.
Water molecules in the human body, bully, and it explodes water molecules at the level of the ozone layer. So it's puncturing holes in the ozone layer.
Hey, Jane.
So what atmosphere we have can leak out. And the ozone layer, of course, is the firmament that the scientists don't want to talk about because they've all signed non-disclosure agreements so they can keep getting their money. Okay? And so this world is on a path to extinction while all the trouble is what everybody's looking at if they're not looking at TV and their soap operas and their hobbies and what they like and what they prefer. Can you see why a grandma like me who grew up in a different generation where we actually had to pay
We
attention
all need to be
reality
grandmas.
kind of goes over the top here? This is
Anyway, so. Okay, there's only 2 of you, Rhonda and Jane. So we're going to do a guided meditation. Let's see how many people jump in here. And where we're going to do, I just gave you 49 minutes and 40 seconds of, a little smorgasbord of what's on the YouTube, right? And a little David Icke, a little of Emily Windsor. She's someone you should go check out her channel. And her last YouTube of today was she's gone through 3 computers. Me, they just kind of scrambled my stuff, but they didn't, take anything down because I just wear a funny hat. This is a magic hat, and I'm blowing sage on my on my digital devices here on the world. I'm shamanically putting it out on the World Wide Web. And, I'm just a Griot Sensei Al Bob, where Emily, she's like royalty. She's got, she comes from the Windsor. She was Edward's daughter. And you should go to her channel and just spend some time listening, because she's a fund of just amazing information. She's been around a long time. And she's wired in. I mean, she is a reptile, so she's got, a little chip back in her reptilian core there, and so she's getting downloads. Me, not so much. I'm just a lucky bastard who stumbles into things, and my greatest talent is to be in the right place at the right time, and and aware of it, and to go for the gusto. And so where we're going to go tonight in our guided meditation is we're going to go back to 1994 in Asheville, North Carolina. And I went to Asheville, North Carolina. I got there in 91, end of 91. And Asheville was the Paris of the South, and the really hip place to be in the 1920s. And the city of Asheville spent buku bucks because, the Biltmores, the Astors, the really rich people were there, blah, blah, blah. Money was there. All the folk came there to escape the heat. They went up in the mountains, everything. There were all these great herbal healers, and all, in the 1890s to before World War I, there was all of this whole renaissance of healing, right? And, the Theosophical Society, the Thule Society, the Vol Society, all of these great keepers of the knowledge of the Tartarian Empire were coming, which had been wiped away in the mud flood. There were still remnants of it up in the mountains, and it was coming out. Then the Depression came and wiped it away, and the city of Asheville spent a lot of money to make this place woo. And then the Depression came, and from that point on, they couldn't spend. They didn't have anything to pay off their debt. The city of Asheville did not finish paying off its Depression debt until 1996. So when I showed up in 91, the whole city was in amber. And the powers that be, the federal government, the NEA, and the state government of North Carolina wanted to take the Biltmore House, put it in a nonprofit status, and turn it into, a tourist tool, to build an economic base for the city that was just flattened. So they did, and that's how I got there, because I was at Cornell, and I was given a project to go do a database on that whole place. And I met up with this woman who was she was a librarian scientist, and she had like a PhD in the whole, Gilded Age. I mean, before Emily started talking about the Tartarian Empire, she told me all this stuff back then in 91. And I she knew all about everything. And she was, my age, a little bit older than me, but she was 36, 7. I was maybe 91, so I was like 31, right? 32, 31, somewhere in there. Anyway, so we made a great team. And she was really focused on what she was focused on. So she wasn't really drawn. I mean, she liked me as her comrade, her buddy, the dude. I was like, she always pushed me out front as the distraction so people would leave her alone. And, I was just really the schmoozer, and I was a good historian and a photographer, right? But she was a pretty good, she was good enough to do that job. Anyway, so we took pictures of everything. We built a database. We put, barcodes on everything so they knew where everything was. And then, the decorators came in and redid Biltmore House into what it is now. But we were the first people there, and there was this family that was part of the Astor Biltmore thing, but they were from a different name. They were country boys. They were from the line of the Buncombe's. That's why it's Buncombe County. Anyway, so that was my foot into Asheville. It was a great foot because, I was like, so I had access to virtually everything. And the city of Asheville, that they spent they built City Plaza, and in the basement of the City Hall was an amazing history of everything from like the 1840s to the 1940s, that 100-year period of the Gilded Age, of the end of the mud flood, of everything. And why Asheville wasn't the railroad. The railroad was brought there by the Astors. Mr. Astor was Mr. Railroad, and the Astors and the Biltmores, they were old money. They were the Gilded Age, right? And that whole Tartarian empire was destroyed by Rockefellers, the Morgans, the DuPonts, and the Carnegies. They were the, really nasty folk who, the ends justifies, basic Nazis. And all the banking houses, that good old Prescott Bush was part of, and brought us the First World War and the Second World War and the Third World War, kind of coming from Albert Pike, the guy who brought us the Illuminati, in the 1770s, same year that we became, right? And they were part of the Enlightenment, and he was part of that. And he was a Scottish Mason, and he took it one step further. And that's where the communists came from, and the socialists, and all of that kind of stuff came from, because they wanted a new world order back then, right? And, you look at your dollar bill, and, from Chaos is Order. It's kind of our little logo there with the pyramid and the eye, the Horus, the eye of Horus, all of that. And so that was Asheville, North Carolina, right? Because it's this matrix of energy. Because those mountains, the Blue Ridge Mountains and the Appalachian Mountains, where they kind of do this right there at Asheville, are the oldest mountains on the planet. And what little mountains that are there are just the deep, 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 deep foundation blocks of, those were the tallest. They were taller than Everest. When we had, 13, 14 miles of ice, there was still another 20 miles of mountains. And now, anyway, so that's Asheville. And that's why all this really amazing stuff was there. And I got to be there, and they gave me the keys to look at everything and document everything and ask questions about it. I mean, that's what I love to do, right? So I got to be there, and I stayed there. I left in 99. So I was there from 91 to 99. And so from 91 to 96, it was an amazing place because it was like stuck in amber, and all, basically there was, the mountain folk, the brain dead rich folk, because that's, the last bits of the Tartarian dudes were, the Tartarian trailer trash. And, the guy who was living in Biltmore House before the state took over, his kids were using the Louis XIV, dressers as, hockey nets. Anyway, so when we got there, the place was a mess, It's like if you ever saw any of the TV shows about flipping houses, and they go into these things that are totally trash with spray paint and everything, and, animals living. And I mean, that's what the Biltmore House looked like when we came in there to document everything so the people could come and save it. Anyway, so then I got a gig at, we went from there to going to the City Hall and looking at all the stuff that they had and putting that in a database. And then there was a guy named Julian Price, who was the heir to the cigarette fortune, and he felt guilty, so he was trying to do the right thing. And he was fighting acid rain, because first time I ever went to these mountains was in 1968. And everything was greener than green. The bioregion was still as pristine as it was. And in 91, the acid rain from the Cargill paper mill in it was called the Champion Mill. But Cargill, if you looked at all of the corporate guys, they were the guys who were doing this. And they basically didn't need to do it, except they wanted to destroy that bioregion because there were more things to heal the planet and the people. I mean, like I said, between the 1860s and 1920, there was, 1945, 1840s to 1940, there was this amazing community of healers and special people and alien, you name it, they were there. And, I show up in 91 and the residuals were still there, but the corporate world had totally trashed it. I mean, acid rain had taken off the tops of all those mountains. Mount Mitchell is a perfect example. When I first went there in 68, it was greener than green. And they had this top. They had this beautiful, like, little lodge up there and a place to go camping. And I went back when I got there in 91, and it was like as bald as my head, right? And when I went to that lodge, they had pictures of what the mountains looked like from the 1880s until 1968. And it was beautiful. And the sky, you could see from up there, Mount Mitchell, you could see the Atlantic Ocean, right? And the acid rain had just fried everything off the top. And what was truly amazing, so when I got there in 91, those pictures were still in that lodge. But by 94, they had taken all the pictures down and taken new pictures of the Mount Mitchell looking like this. So people, the tourists was, oh, that's how it's always looked. And that's how they rewrite history. And that's what 1984 was about, the Ministry of Truth. Anyway, so Asheville was this crossroads of all of this amazing, energetic, and made, that place at Findhorn look like nothing, right? And there were all these great hospitals that cured people of everything. They were all gone. The only hospital that was left was the mental institution. And Billy Graham was there in Black Mountain, and the Black Mountain School was there. That's where the hipsters were in the 50s and 60s, Allen Ginsberg and the gang. And so I hung out in all those places. And Billy Graham, I liked him. He was an interesting guy. But everyone in his cadre was not so cool. And so he bought this whole mountain in Black Mountain. And on one side was his whole thing. And on the other side was the Ku Klux Klan and the American Nazi Party. And that was the mountain. It's like, and that was Asheville. It was like, whoa. And there was a guy, in California who talked to, it was Big Rock, and the flying saucers used to land there, and the people from Venus would come and talk. It's not Billy Idol, but Billy something, not Billy Kluver, Billy something. And he made this thing called the Tavis, this device, right? That was time and space. It was like, Doctor Who's, blue box, but it was a big thing, right? And he didn't have all the federal government. He built it, and then the federal government came in and took out parts of it and carried it someplace else, Brookhaven National Laboratory, and made their own little device. But that device had worked for a number of years before the powers that shouldn't be took that stuff away in Brookhaven, and it still had a harmonic. And so the guy, and I forget the guy, it's Billy something, Jim, and right near Black Mountain, a little further up in the mountains, a little this way from Billy Graham, Jim had this, and it's a round device. And a friend of mine, who is an interesting guy, I won't say much more other than he's like worked for everybody, and we're both, instead of being lab technicians, we were bench electricians. And he was even more in than I was. And so when he retired, he did things like that. And he helped that guy turn that thing. And that place was like, it like hovered off the ground, because not so much the building or the device itself, because it was missing components. And that's why they brought me in, because I was, Tesla boy. And I basically said, well, this place is cool for what it is because of the harmonics of where we are. But if we were to create the stuff that was in the Big Rock in California, all you would have is Men in Black and other people nosing around here. And there's so much of that already here. Do you really want to do that? And they said, no. So we just enjoyed, because you went in there and you were like, totally cooled down. I worked at that mental institution, and I used to take folks who had issues, put them in the van, drive them there, and just, we'd have a little lunch there, and I'd bring them back to the hospital, and they didn't need Thorazine for another month. My boss would say, what do you do with these guys? I said, I'm showing them how to meditate in the mountains. Anyway, and then I took him there, and he said, well, we should. I said, no, you don't want to do this. We did this at the hospital. They would eat us for breakfast, So just enjoy what's here. And that's kind of where I've been for the last 40 years. I've seen a lot of stuff. I've been part of a lot of things. Instead of trying to have my ego, again, I have my 3 rules. Doctor, do no harm. Don't get involved unless you can have a positive outcome with a positive exit strategy that protects the innocent and gets them out of harm's way. And don't get involved unless you can learn something. Those are my 3 rules. My grandma at 28, those are my 3. So tonight's little guided meditation is we're going to go there. And we're going to go to, my friend Otters, who was a truly, man out of time. And he was, in Vietnam, and he had been part of things. Because Vietnam was just another one of those red flags where they did experiments, killed millions of people, stole, treasures and resources, and damaged the world ecology, some more. He gave a good excuse to, siphon off trillions of dollars for the breakaway civilization. And when I met him, he was a homeless guy, and he was a great artist. And he used to go to the junkyard and get things and turn it into art. And then he worked for this metal recycling company that my friend Eric worked at. That's how I met him, through my friend Eric. And, they gave him some money, but mostly he did that job because he wanted certain metals for his art. And his art was truly shamanic devices, right? And that's how come we hit it off. I was the scalar boy, he was the shamanic boy, and we kind of did things together. And this guy could levitate, chunks of concrete that weigh 20, 30 tons. He moved them around. I mean, not in front of everyone, but you'd go there and these big chunks would all over the place. And then you come back 2 days later and they'd be in different places. And he turned this toxic waste dump that the utility company threw in the French Broad River, kind of underneath the Patton Avenue Bridge, which connects downtown Asheville with West Asheville, heading towards Canton. And, 29 and, let's see, it was 3 roads in one. That became 26, Anyway, so 21, and that's 221 here. 221 kind of is an interesting road that kind of wheels between Canada, through West Virginia, through Tennessee, through North Carolina, and down to Georgia. Anyway, so I met him, and he brought me over to this place, and it was this, where the utility companies dumped a ton of stuff, garbage, toxic PCPs and PCBs and really nasty shit from, because Asheville was one of these places that from, like I said, the 1890s, really weird science was being done there, right? Because the Biltmores and big money, old wealth was there. And then what they had started after the Civil War to, and they took Gilded Age technology and was dumping it into Tesla stuff. And that's why they kind of built Oak Ridge where they built it. Why out in the middle of, no. Why? Because the little, all of that nuclear stuff is more alchemy, more magic than people. I mean, I used to have one of Tesla's laboratories. It was the Mohawk Electric building on Hudson Street, right on the corner of Duane and Hudson, facing Duane Park in Lower Manhattan, a couple blocks from Chambers Street. And it was really, if you ever read Mary Cheney's book that's called Man Out of Time, it's the first really good book about Tesla. And virtually everybody else who wrote a book about Tesla basically just copied her book. I mean, read her book and rewrote it from her book, right? And because she was the first to write about Tesla, like in the 1970s, before the Tesla, fad kind of grew. And I met her, right? I met her through Billy Kluber, and she knew Tesla. She had been part of Rad Lab. She had a very interesting engineering background, along with the lady who was the actress in, when Atlanta was burning, anyway, that one, Gone with the Wind, right? The girl who was the heroine, right? She was from Yugoslavia. She was an electrical engineer. She came to be an electrical engineer to follow in the footsteps of Nikola Tesla. And she was so beautiful when she was looking for a job at at Bell. Some guys saw her because Bell was the guys who did the moving pictures, right? And some producer from Hollywood said, "Oh, you're gorgeous. You should be a movie star," and took her to Hollywood, and the rest is, I forget her name. But she invented cellular phones. She invented it for World War II. So all the, from the big boat to all the landing crafts to the guys on the beach to the guys going to the hedgerows of France, their little walkie-talkies could only go about a mile. And she figured out how to hook them all together so, it'd be a cell. And that's where the cell technology came from her, not Audrey Hepburn. Anyway, that lady, right? So all of these, and she was there and in the labs in Asheville. So anyway, so yes, he was like a modern day Tesla, but even weirder because he got blown. He saw all of it. They put him in the middle of Vietnam to do weird ass energetic. He was more energetics, and I was more harmonics, scalar energy. He was more, and I understood that because I had studied with, Indian shaman, and so I had both sides, so I could identify with him. But all of that, Manhattan Project shit was there, and pretty much everything within 100 square. If you put a protractor in the middle of Oak Ridge and then put a 100-mile circle. Irwin, Tennessee, there's a weird place there. Asheville, a whole other bunch. And why Asheville is because, Astor and Biltmore put a big electric plant there so they could have electricity, but they were also using it for their own little experiments on these plates, and, that lab in Manhattan, the Mohawk Electric place that I had my loft in, really interesting stuff. You read Margaret Cheney's book about Man Out of Time, Tesla had this, some guy was interviewing him, and he was talking about harmonics, and the guy said, "What are you talking about?" And he had this little piece of steel that was part of the steel foundation of the whole building that went down, way down into the ground. And they put this little device, pushed the button, and it started vibrating. You couldn't hear the device vibrating, but it started getting the steel to vibrate, and then the earth, and it nearly caused an earthquake in Manhattan. And he turned it off, it stopped. And when they were doing, the experiments with, and they were doing experiments with nuclear fission way before the Manhattan Project. And they were doing things, and he was creating plutonium without reactors. And that guy who isolated that isotope in California, he was Tesla's buddy, and they were playing around with it, and they would huff. So they would make plutonium, and they made it into a metal, and in the casting of that metal, in like a little furnace, they were real close, and they were huffing the fumes of plutonium that put them, woo. You think, the stuff that David Icke had, huffed back in Brazil with that shaman. This stuff was like on a different plane. And they had these tubes. Once they figured that out, they had these tubes that would kind of resonate. So they didn't need to boil up the plutonium. They could huff the vibration of that. And in that loft I lived in, that little steel bar was still there, and those tubes were still there. And in the Tesla wired the Chrysler building to be a Tesla device, meaning not have to be hooked up to Edison. That it was a 0-point device. That's why the whole building is made out of stainless steel. It's a Faraday cage, and that's why they have all these, gargoyles. They were antennas, and they had an induction coil at the top and one at the bottom, and there were no wires, and everything was neon, which Tesla invented, and all the motors that moved the water and the elevators were all inductive motors. And they did it, worked great. And then, Mr. Morgan went to Mr. Chrysler and said, "Hey, Bob, great job. Here's a little, I got a present for you." And, pulls out these photos of Mr. Chrysler having sex with animals and children and said, "Hey, this is going to go to my friend, Mr. Hearst, unless you put Edison's wires back in and get rid of that Tesla crap. We got to charge people for money. It can't be free. We can't let loose the human race. We have to keep them shackled." Meaning, real problems aren't technological. The environmental stuff is being done on purpose to kill us and the planet. So, we're going to go into state, and we're going to enter off of, the French Broad Road underneath the bridge, Patton Avenue Bridge, and we're going to go into the maze, which will take us through time and space and take us into all of the caverns underneath Asheville, and that goes all over from Montauk, Long Island, all the way to Boulder, Colorado. And these are caves and tunnels that were put in by other races, that were before the Anunnaki. Okay, you ready for this? Say there's a big 4 people who are going to be part of this. So here we go. Everyone, get yourself comfy, put yourself in a safe position, and let yourself relax. Breathe in that 20%. Breathe out that 30%. And you're going deeper and deeper and deeper into a state of conscious relaxation. Your conscious mind is totally focused on your breath. That squirrel in your head that's in that metal cage of the Rolodex of your mind is going to sleep because it's focusing itself on your breath. To breathe that 20% in, you have to focus your conscious mind on your breath. and let you let out that 30% all the way out. Why? Because when you let that much out, it's that much easier to breathe in that 20%. So focus your conscious mind on your breath. Quiet that squirrel, put it to sleep. Put your whole bag of water, your avatar, on remote control, It's on, you just cruise control, right? And you're sitting down or lying down, you're in a place that you're safe and secure. And I'm going to count from 1 to 3. And as I do, you're going to go deeper and deeper and deeper relaxation. See it clearly. Going deeper and deeper and deeper. See it clearly. One, your conscious mind is focused on your breath. And you're going into a deep, deep, deep state of relaxation. See it clearly. As you're breathing in that 20%, your diaphragm is lifting, your lungs are expanding, and you're breathing in more prana from Father Sky. That prana is what animates your avatar, your bag of water. See it clearly. That's what gives it life. Otherwise, your body is just 90-something% water and the rest trace elements, and you're just kind of, So with the animation of the prana, that's when you breathe it in. And because your lungs are open, your alveolar, the little sacs in your lungs open up, the little cilia are alive. They absorb the prana. Your blood goes through your lungs, iron rich. That blood is a conductor of, scalar energy. And the blood just doesn't go blub, blub, blub through the veins and arteries. It swirls. It's swirling through, right? See it clearly. Going deeper and deeper and deeper. The state of conscious relaxation. And the prana is energizing your blood as it goes to every cell of your body. And that prana is being grounded by the chi. So the current is coming in to Father Sky and going into Mother Earth. So in every day and every way, you're taking the piece of the earth and you're making it stronger. And our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. And forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. As it was in the beginning, is now, ever shall be, world without amen. Alpha and the Omega, meaning there is no linear time. That big bang, bang. That was everything, the whole, universal experience happened in less than any time. But for us, because we agreed to ascend our free will into love's co-creation, we had to do it with an understanding of what everything was. And that's what we got this material world for. And Lucifer, who was the head, angel, his ego was the initial battery behind all of this. And just like, Jesus's good buddy Judas, Lucifer gets a bad rap. He's the snake. But, within the metaphors of the snake and the eagle, the good and the evil, Enki is the snake, and he brought freedom of the light of understanding, illumination, all of the above. And the guys in the who are the Luciferian, I'm a light worker, basically, you cannot grasp the consciousness of a belief, because then you're sucked in and you're down the pike and you're no longer you, right? You're a believer, right? Ready to kill, and be stuck on the wheel of Dharma forever, because we, time will, so far it's been 16 billion years, but, compared to the existence of love's co-creation, that's nothing. But that's a long time, 16 billion years as we see it. And we can have another 16 billion or another, whatever it takes for us to finally figure this shit out. That's what it'll be. We'll just be stuck on the Dharma wheel of karma for as long as it takes for us to figure it out. Now, the thing is to ascend your conscious free will outside of the lower harmonics. And, we're going from the Piscean age into the Aquarian age, right? So they are vibrating up here on a higher thing, and we can reach to that, through baby steps, moving forward instead of getting stuck, throwing your anchor down and just being in a rut, right? So that's what we're here for. That's why I did this page, to bring the cadre together, right? The adepts, all those who are seeking this. I am freely offering it, right? And why do we do this? Because what makes us happy is making others happy. And that's part of that process of ascension. Not about me, 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 me. It's not all our relations. Not seeing the other as a useless either, but as part of us. Because we, each individual, are like a little, right now, you're breathing in that prana, and you're energizing every cell of your body, and you're looking at those cells, and you're seeing the mitosis, that cell splitting, and the DNA going like this, and the RNA coming in and replicating it, and what is giving it the juice to do that? But your mitochondria. Where is that mito? Why is that mito? You're looking at it right now. Why is that mitochondria looking like little lightning bolts? It's the prana from love, from Father Sky. And it's being drawn into your chi, which is Mother Earth. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women. Blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God. Pray for our sinners now in the hour of our death. Amen. And our death is just a transition. Buddha said dying is like slipping out of a slipper. Now, I've died 6 times in this body, so I kind of, okay, I'm used to it. Yes, okay, I'll stick around until I do what my masters brought me here. And if you go to xratted.blogspot.com, you will read the stories of all of this. My first novel that I got there has 6 cuts of all these stories that are metaphors to explaining everything that I talk about. And if you early on, what book should I read about being a magician? Well, you can go read, my blogspot, xratted.blogspot.com. And what would really be nice is if you went back and looked at the other 600 and something programs that I've produced on this channel, Dreamy Dreamland with Sensei Al Bob. I'm like doing a commercial in your conscious mind. You can't get away from this one. Go there, watch these things, and don't, just pick any old one and watch it because they're all different. They all are special. They all are harmonically charged with scalar energy, just like I did to you doing this little guided meditation. I did that shamanically to every show. So you watch it, right? And then make a comment. By making that comment, you connect. You're not just the observer, you're the co-creator. That's what I'm trying as your Sensei Al Bob, you as, the adepts. I'm trying to show you, help you, learn you, how to ascend, right? Okay? So, and one, you're in a deep, 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 deep state of conscious relaxation. You have illuminated yourself with the prana light. You've seen your cells in mitosis. You've seen the DNA split, the RNA going in there, and the energy of the prana in your mitochondria. Now, if you visualize that, you can protect yourself from the 5G by turning that mitochondria energy of your prana, tune it up scalarly as a Faraday cage, so all of your cells can be protected. You can do this. You can. That's the beauty of living in a hologram. You can visualize whatever the heck you want instead of just accepting whatever you're given. The dumbed down program. You don't want that. You want to be that ascended conscious free will, not the shackled mud puppet, And one, you're now glowing in photonic light. You are a being not of incandescent light, that's Luciferian illusion. No, you are a photonic being of light. Yes, my hair looks darker. It was this color, now it's doing this. Anyway, and my beard is also getting color. I told somebody it was just that I get a lot of ketchup on it every now and then. Anyway, I'm digressing. We're going forth in our beautiful guided meditation, and you are glowing in photonic light. Now you're putting that photonic light in your imaginary mirror. That's where you have REM sleep. That's behind your eyelids. See it clearly. You're going deeper and deeper and deeper into a state of relaxation. See it clearly. Your body, your avatar, your bag of water, your mud puppet is asleep. It's on automatic pilot. All the little organisms and body functions are taking care of themselves. Your autonomic system is taking care of everything. You're conscious, free will is ascending. And you are now in your imaginary mirror, and you're walking through it into your subconscious mind. It's not a scary place. You're shining that photonic light into your subconscious mind and illuminating it and seeing it as a library. You're walking into it. You see this big fireplace, that is the hearth of the eternal flame. All those look like big stones, but no, they're big books. And in front of that big hearth of the blue flame, of the eternal flame, is these very comfy lounge chairs for guests. And in front of that is your reading table, and behind that is your reading chair. And you go and sit down, and it's illuminated by this photonic light. And what the thing about photonic light is, see how there are shadows? This is incandescent light. There's shadows. See the shadows? See? Photonic light shines no shadows, so you can see everything clearly. When light throws a shadow, you can't see things clearly, right? So Here in your library, your reading table that you're sitting down at is illuminated with photonic light. So whatever on it, you can see clearly. There are no shadows. Everything's clear. And to your left, you have your guides. Your librarian, to the left of your librarian is your animal totem. To the left of your animal totem is your guardian angel. See it clearly. And those, your librarian brings you the information in your Akashic records. Your animal totem is there. You can see this stuff, in your Akashic record. You open up there, these blank pages, and then after you, empty yourself of anger, fear, and self-loathing, that's when the big screen with the 28 little screens shows up, and you can visualize anything, all of your past lives, all your future. Now, your future is a little hazy because all you can see is trends rather than what's really going to happen. Now, certain things are anchored in time space. So those things are what they are because they're relative to your karma, right? So you've done things in your past lives that anchor you in your future, your past, present, and future. And that's why time is not linear. It's all together. So in your Akashic record, you can see the future. You can see mostly the potentials. And that's why I got 28 little screens that give you different angles, and so you lean into your Akashic record in front of you, open it up, blank page, right hand on the right page, left hand on the left page, and you lean into your Akashic record, and you are illuminated by that photonic light, and you empty all of your fear, all of your anger, all of your hatred, all of your self-loathing, all of your anxiety, all of your wanting, needing, all of that goes away. And you're only left with your conscious free will. That part, that little cell that is part of love's co-creation. Why you are that collective of all your relations, right? So see that clearly. You are part of love's co-creation. That's why all of this is here. See it clearly. And 2, you're in a deep state of relaxation. Your conscious mind is totally focused on your breath. You're in a deep state of relaxation. Your avatar, your body, everything is like sleep. And you're now feel light as a daisy, like a balloon with helium, and you float up. And you kind of go over, and the 9 doors are on the right side of your library. Everything else is books. These are the 9 doors. One of those doors is open, and that door is to your superconscious mind. That is the sanctuary of your own choosing. So you kind of float over there, and you see a banister, some steps. You're going to go up, and it's a bridge. And that bridge is your id, connecting your subconscious mind to your superconscious mind, your id, right? And that's the bridge that connects the two. And if you go to a show that I did, I don't know, a week or so ago, where Dragon sent me some art of his from when he was 11, he drew that picture. The library, that photonic light, this bridge to a house, a farmhouse floating in the sky. And that was the, old crone's farmhouse, not her farm, just because, it was just the house and the dirt underneath it was like floating in the sky. And Dragon did that when he was 11. Now he's 30, So almost 20 years ago, he drew that, and he saw the cadre, he saw us, he saw everything when he was 11. And there are a number of others who have got a hold of me and said, I had a similar thing, Why do you think you're the cadre? Why do you think you're my adepts? You came to me, right? So anyway, so there you are, and you're floating into, you go down, your foot goes on the sanctuary of your own choosing, and there it is. From the top of the bridge, you look down and you saw the whole thing. You saw the meadow towards the east, the gazebo, The east of the meadow is, the tree of knowledge, the tree of life, and the great pond of the Great Link. And to the west was, the carnival, the circus that had all the things to see, the fun house, the scary house, this house, and that house. And then there was a path that went up to the hill where our house is. Our house. And what is our house? Our house is Frank Lloyd Wright's Falling Water. That's in Pennsylvania. But it's a big, extended, larger, it's like the TARDIS. It's bigger on the inside than outside. And over the front doors are 40 feet high. And over the door, it says, on top, it says the Oracle of Delphi. That's the name of our house. Our house, the Cadre's house, is the Oracle of Delphi. And underneath that, it says, know thyself, right? So we go through the doors to know thyself. This is the big entrance hall. There is the, coat room. That is the shortcut to the old crone's farmhouse. And she has a coat room, one end of the coat room from our house into her house. That's how we get to her house. And in at the end of the hallway and on the right-hand side, again, are the 9 doors. And at the end is the common room. And at the end of the common room is the entrance into the Hedgerow Longhouse, which is, you need to go watch the video of that. Just go look at, one of those ones there. And why I haven't put a listing of which show it is because every show is different. I would have to make a listing of 600 and something shows, and you'd have to look through them anyway, so might as well look through the shows. So, and have your own little, composition book and take notes. Write it into your Akashic record, because you put where the things are on the Akashic record. You go look at that, just look at it, bingo, there you are. So this, I'm showing, these are all tools, that I'm giving you, but you need to use them. We can go on these guided meditations, but it's okay, because it's like, I'm showing you how to do it, but you need to start doing this stuff yourself, gang, because 18-month little window of opportunity. And if we don't kind of jump through that window of opportunity, God knows what's going to jump the other way, right? And we can make a big difference here, and we already have, So here we are in your superconscious mind, the sanctuary of your own choosing. You walk over to the tree of knowledge. You look down at all the roots, and in those roots are the back doors to a lot of the places we have visited. And one of the places we're going to visit is through the root into the logi of the point of reference of Asheville, North Carolina, right along that peninsula of the French Broad River, which is the River of Time. And that little peninsula right underneath the bridge, Patton Avenue Bridge, where the utility company had dumped concrete and building materials and really drums of PCBs and every other toxic material that they used in all their very weird experiments, and radioactive isotopes and pretty much everything. I mean, that makes Fukushima look like candy cane. That's what the utility company over a 70-year period did to the French Broad River. So see it clearly. This was one of the worst, those environmental catastrophe sites that were supposed to be cleaned up, but it was so bad they didn't even put it on the list because they didn't want to even touch it. But my friend Otter cleaned it up, right? Because he had been, his experience through his whole karmic life and through his experiences in Vietnam made him beyond a shaman. He had one foot as a shaman and one foot as a master. And he was a homeless guy. That's how everyone saw him, as a smelly other homeless guy. Right? He was everything, because he was a master of time and space. He was like, Doctor Who, but even better, because he had got rid of his ego, So there you are, too, in a deep, deep, deep state of relaxation. You've gone down through, you look down into the root, and the golden radioactive light came up and kind of took you down, and now you are on the French Broad River Road, and you're walking towards the shadow of the Patton Avenue Bridge is falling down upon you, and you're seeing this industrial site, the railroad over there, all this oozing, just gunk of deadly pollution everywhere, and chunks of concrete and plaster and asbestos and just the worst of the worst. And, and you're kind of a little scared. And because you're feeling all of this, dark energy from all of this dark magic. And it's, you were feeling great being Mr. Photonic Light, felt great emptying all your anger and fear. And this is dredging up that last tarry bit, it's like the oily, tarry asphalt of your, self-doubt and self-loathing and hate of yourself. It's the last, and it's like being pulled out. And all of a sudden you're standing in front of this guy. He's really long hair. He's very tall. He kind of looks like Jesus Christ, but instead of wearing linen, he's wearing kind of army fatigues, army shirt, and a big, long, green army kind of raincoat. And it's summer. It's hot. The sun is hot. And he just kind of reaches into your heart and pulls out that black ball, that last bit of hate. And he shows it to you. And you start to cry. And you start to weep. And it's this weeping of joy, because you're feeling this unconditional love of this guy who just reached inside. You thought you were healed, you were great, you were dude, and you were on top of the world, you were photonic light. And this guy just pulls out the last bits of really ickiness, right? And then and it blows away as rose petals. And out of the rose petals comes butterflies, and they fly off. And you still see the disgusting industrial everything, but right there is this sliver of golden light. And he smiles, and he turns around, and he walks that way. And we walk behind him, in a single path line, and we go right. And it looks like this little sliver. We could never fit through it. Bingo. We're through it. We're on the other side. And we're still right at the French Broad, but the bridge is gone, right? The road is gone. The city, there's nothing there. And down the river comes Indians in canoes, birch bark canoes. And they go by and they wave at us, right? And you're wearing the clothes you're wearing, And Otter he looked like a big otter. He no longer is this big, tall guys with glasses and long hair and wearing, army fatigues and an army coat. He's an otter, a big otter, right? And they're not waving at you, they're waving at Otter, right? And so he walks down into the water, and we follow him. And we walk down into the water. Now the water's at our feet, it's at our ankles, knees, hips, chest, up to here, and then we get a little scared. We hold our breath. And we're underwater and we're walking. And then we can't hold our breath anymore and we breathe. In that 20%. And all of a sudden the water turns into the prana. And we're breathing in the prana. And we are energizing every cell of our body. See it clearly. And we still walking on that golden path. And we walk through these big mountains. And there's still the path right through it. And we're walking down into the heart of Middle Earth, of when all these mountains in the Blue Ridge and the Appalachian were the tallest mountains in the world. And we're walking down into them. And down underneath is Middle Earth, where these lands of the elders are. Before Atlantis, Lemuria, before all of the, if you want to know the story, go watch Emily's videos, and she'll tell you the etymology of all of that history. She's really good at that. And you can see where you came from, which side of the family, and why you are the way you are, and what you're doing. And you're going deeper and deeper down into Middle Earth. And all of these lines of energy, and they are making this energy pattern of not just our planet, not just our solar system, but within the construct of the Luciferian universe are these energetics of love's co-creation. And that is what creates the prana. That is what creates our animation. And it's all coming from love's co-creation. And that's why there is no good or bad. But it's all about our intent with what we do with what we're given. When we serve love's co-creation to serve all of our relations, that's why we're here. And that's why you have come to be the cadre. And that's why you are an adept seeking your path. You're not looking for a career or, a job title or a way you can make a living. You're not looking for commerce. You're not looking for anything. But within the construct of the illusion of the material world, by serving love's co-creation, you'll have all you need. By visualizing, you want to win the lottery and you're going to take that $1 billion and serve love's co-creation with it, well, you're going to win the lottery. Whatever it takes. You want to come to the deep green this spring, summer, and fall and have us bring together the band and take it on the road, well, that's where it's at. And with love's co-creation, all of this other interference, whatever, interferes, whatever, challenges us, just makes us stronger in our love, right? That's all we need to do is focus on our love's co-creation, bringing that into our photonic light body, not our illuminated incandescent light body, which is Luciferian illusion. No. Love's co-creation of photonic light. See it clearly. You're there now. You're down in Middle Earth there, right underneath time and space, with all of love's co-creation. I'm going to be quiet for a moment and you can go look at all of that. And 3, you're in a deep, 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 deep state of relaxation, going deeper and deeper. See it clearly. Resonate the photonic light. See yourself as a presence in all of time and space, the Alpha and the Omega. You're not Joe Blow, working at McDonald's, You don't have to. You can be whatever you want to be. Just visualize it with photonic light. Go into state 5-10 times a day, visualize it, right? When you go to sleep, go into state and see the dreams that you want to see awake, conscious dreaming, right? Remember your dreams. So when you wake up in the morning, before your feet hit the ground, you go back into state and put those dreams in your Akashic record so you can go back and look at them and see them on the big screen and see the 28 different dimensions that those dreams came from. So you can get a real insight into your psyche and into who you are. See it clearly. And every day and every way you take the piece of the earth and you make it stronger. See it clearly. Your conscious mind is totally focused on your breath. You are in Middle Earth, and whatever you want to see, whatever master you want to talk to, whatever understanding you need to know, I'm going to leave you to it. So here are some of the 9 doors. Here they are. You can go through any one of them. But when you go through the front door, you got to bring a master with you. And you bring the master down the chimney of the great fireplace of the eternal flame. But you can come in the back door through the roots of the tree of knowledge, and they can't see you. Right? So, and in the Akashic record, the pages are the edges are gold leaf, and this side of the Akashic record, run your hand up and down, and it's like a mouse. So you can see all your past lives. You can go to a lexicon. You can go to a dictionary, a thesaurus, and a general directory of wanting to look up anything, right? And so you can do that. And you can you just think what you want to see. When your hand is on the gold leaf, just think what you want to see, and bingo, on the main screen, you'll see it, right? So you can look at any point in history, any point in time, any point in place in the universe. It's called remote viewing. You can visualize the thing you want to see. It'll appear, right? And that's, how remote viewers do it, And usually it's a double-blind thing, meaning the thing that their handlers want you to see as a remote viewer will be in an envelope. You don't open up the envelope, you just kind of hold it or put it to your head or whatever little process you want to do, but you don't look at it. And bingo, you go there, right? So by you using the mouse of your Akashic record, you can do the same thing. Just visualize where you want to see. And even if you don't know you can like visualize, what do I need to see? And that's why the gazebo in the sanctuary of your own choosing is a good tool, because you go up there, you get a elevated view of your whole sanctuary, more than from the top of the bridge, because that just gives it a certain direction. The gazebo is 360. You can see everything of your sanctuary of your own choosing. And you have a question, you face the north and ask the question, close your eyes, you turn around to the south, open your eyes, and there will be an individual there, right? And whoever that individual needs to be to tell you that answer, you will get it, right? You will understand it. And they will be all of your guides. They will be your librarian, your animal totem, your guardian angel, all roles, your lodge guide, because in your house, not only do you have, the coat room, the great hall, the common room, but on to the right is the big dining hall, which is where a dining hall out of Harry Potter's. I mean, that's where what's her name got that. And straight ahead is the Hedgerow Longhouse, where we all go to council. And to the left is your individual doorway to go to your own lodge. We all have our own individual lodge. In that individual lodge, it's everything that the shortcut that goes straight to your library, but it has everything that the old crone has in her farm. You have in your lodge. And that's the general gist of it. And again, I'm going to leave you down there in Middle Earth with all of great creation's elders and great makers, and all of the hierarchies of creation are down there. And you can see where everything came from. And any question you need, just close your eyes, go into state, see yourself on the gazebo, ask the question, open your eyes, and you'll be down in Middle Earth. And that individual, no matter what it is, it could be, growth, it could be a tree, and it would still give you the answer you need, or a blade of grass, or butterfly, or whatever, right? So I want you to exercise this. Start visualizing these things right now, and I'm going to leave you to it. And I want you to kind of put down on the live chat what you're seeing, because if you do that, the live chat is the extension of your Akashic record. So you put it down on the live chat, and you will definitely grow in your shamanic powers. If you just go along for the ride, you're just going along for the ride. Now, I'm here as your, Sensei Al Bob. I'm here to always be of service. I'm here until I can't do this in this form, on this platform. But until then, I will be here. And you, at some point, this minute, this second now, it can be sooner rather than later, you will have that kind of gestalt that I had 50 years ago, when boom, this guy just snapped his fingers. And I was like Doctor Strange out there in the universe, seeing things, because everything you think you know, you don't know. Everything you think is real isn't, And you're on the edge of becoming your higher self, or you can stay in your rut. It's totally a free choice here. I can't, my mom used to say, drag a horse to water, can't make it drink. I am your Sensei Al Bob. I'm your griot. I tell you stories. I show you things. I give you whatever assistance you need that I can bring to you. But in the end, you have to do it yourself. But I'm here for you. I'm leaving. I'm not too far away. I'm just, here are the 9 doors, right? Oh, how you doing, gang? Well, there's 6 of you. Keep your eyes on volcanic activity. Esoteric dragon, much rather just draw than use language. No kidding. Your drawing is amazing, Dragon. Sending you some art soon. Thank you, my brother. And here we are. And I'm going to play, again, a little bit of our sister here, Emily.
Hi there, friends. Emily Craig, and I am doing a video today on some of the lies and myths. The title of this one is Academics Lie and Make Up Stories. And
Hey, can you hear me? Yes.
Historians, anthropologists, archaeologists, and paleontologists of ignoring most of the evidence that we have that human society goes back hundreds of thousands of years, not just the 6,000 years that the Vatican allows. Okay? So I'm going to show you some evidence and play you some music, and I hope you enjoy the show.
After the Lyrian annihilation, well, she has all this stuff here. And it's backwards. Oops. Okay. So much for that.
This world is on a path to extinction while all the trouble is what everybody's looking at. If they're not looking at TV and their soap operas and their hobbies and what they like, what they prefer. Can you see why a grandma like me who grew up in a different generation where we actually had to pay attention to reality kind of goes over the top here? This is not funny. This is not cool. And the number of people who pay attention to me is absolutely minuscule. Okay, I do what I can. But here I am on YouTube, and I'm putting up 20 videos a month. And I got my check from YouTube. 20 minutes. It doesn't matter whether I'm monetized or not. My videos are going nowhere. They go nowhere here. They go nowhere.
And that's not true. They're going to us, and we are appreciating them. You know, they're going to the people who need to see them, because she has a tremendous amount of truth, but she is holding, you know, all her angst, because, you know, she was the illegitimate child of Edward, you know, King of England, and she should have been a princess, and she was, you know, given, you know, brought to America and put in a foster home, and she had a hard time, and she didn't, you know, went down the scholastic route and did some amazing things, had jobs, did this, did that, had a family, had kids, you know, had a life, and now here she is, almost 80. She's probably 10 years older than I am. And again, I was born perfect time because I kind of skated everything. Yes, I had lots of trials and tribulations. And if you go read xratted.blogspot.com, you're going to get a lot of stuff, right? And yes, I don't give you the general directory, which spoon feeds you the answer to all of the stuff I lay out. I want you to read it 3 or 4 times and you will get it. You know, if you take it to the Akashic record, you go, oh, right? And that's what I want from you guys. Oh, you know, for you to get it. Just like, you know, John and YouTube and a whole bunch of people conspired to mess my, you know, digital platform up. But with the help of my neighbor, who didn't understand it either, but he, you know, read it slow, you know, didn't do anything, you know, doctor do no harm. And we did it together to the point where, oh, I can now do this myself. And, oh, I'm going to try this. Oh, so he spent maybe an hour with me, and we navigated, and he learned something, I learned something. I got back up here, and now I learned a lot more. And by going through that catastrophe, which John manifested, it was amazing. 40 seconds of boom, everything was thrown asunder. And luckily, nothing was lost, really, just thrown asunder. And I had to, so I learned what the motif was, how to do it. Luckily, my neighbor had a little more experience and a little more courage. And we learned together how to navigate YouTube. And now I've got a better grasp of the whole thing. So so our sister here, Emily, she should really be, so she, she gets, each one of her videos, 200 or 300 people watch, within a day or two. Well, that's way more than mine, but I'm not really, she's getting more than enough to monetize. Yeah, she only makes $20 a week or whatever, a month or whatever it is, meaning they said, oh, look, you can almost monetize. Do this, change the algorithm, blah, blah, blah. Call your stuff a different thing. I said, fuck it. And they actually sent me a check that if I clicked yes, it would have stuck me in. But I said, no, thanks. Not unless that check is like 20 grand a week will I really push that button, right? So because I pushed a couple of buttons and it was it went, wow. I said, okay, I'm going to watch out what I'm doing. So I'm a little more wiser, a little more, I understand how to navigate this. I'm way better than I was 5 days ago, right? So all of that, Ajita, and I basically, after the first, and those first few things that I did, and then John just did all kinds of crazy shit that he did it in 40 seconds. It was mind-boggling. He just did, and then it went, and he said, I don't know what I did, and then I had to drive him to the airport. It was really? But nothing got lost. I just had a new, channel, and which is not bad. And then in my getting a grasp of everything, I invented a third channel, which is there, just in case, right? So, like I said, that 5 days of wasn't that bad because, again, it was one of those things that I didn't let it freak me out. I didn't let it get me upset. Even if it was well, it was a good run while it was I can always start a new one, which I did, Now I got 3, right? One, and I got Dreamy Dream back, and we're on it, and I got Alibaba, and I got a third one that we're not even talking about. But there we are, gang, right? And so you're still down in that deep, deep, deep reserve of where the elders are. And that's where you can go for safety, for solitude, for understanding, because the elders are the older. Me, I'm a youngster. I'm just your sensei. Those guys they are high on the motif of the hierarchy. And what all of our gods are on this planet are on the way down on the low ladder of the strata of the hierarchy of the Elohim, and so heroin and Jesus kind of got sidetracked there. Yep. So I'm going to bring you back. I decided not to show you I just kind of showed you the little icky bits of Asheville. Didn't really take you into the horror house of it all. It's still there. And if you guys show up at the Deep Green this spring, summer, and fall, we're going to go to Asheville. And we're physically going to go to all those places. I'm going to physically show you those doorways and take you to some amazing people who are still there. And then, like I said, hopefully we can get this. I really, if anyone can get a hold of Emily, she's looking to get out of California. She could come live in the Deep Green. There's, it's very comfortable. And if we could, marshal our assets together to take this show on the road, us and her and whoever else of our cadre, because it's not just, our cadre is all our relations. So it's not just the 262 of you. It's pretty much everybody else who can illuminate themselves in the photonic light. Now, Emily has, a wire into her reptilian brain. So she gets some serious downloads of information. So I would suggest you guys to go watch her and give her any kind of assistance and contact her. Give her my Dreamy, Dreamland channel. Give her my Gmail, the Dude Awake 42. Tell her to get a hold of me. And, there's a place for her if she wants to come visit. And that it's the mountain, where Deep Green is one of the, you go look at the U.S. Navy survival spots in North America. That's why I picked the Deep Green. And, there are a lot of people there who are retirees in the know. And that's why they're there. So, 3. You're in a deep, deep, deep state of relaxation. We've taken a journey through the roots of the tree of knowledge, and we've gone into the space at the French Broad River where this peninsula and time and space come together. See it clearly. And you're coming out from underneath the water and walking through Otter's beautiful garden, and then through the maze, and then out onto the French Broad River Road, and the Patton Avenue Bridge is above us. And then we're walking up and out of the tree of knowledge into your sanctuary of your own choosing, and you're walking over to the bridge that connects your superconscious mind to your subconscious, and you're walking over, and you're coming into your library of your Akashic record. You're going over to where your guides are, and you bow with humility, grace, and thanks, and gratitude, and your guides smile and bow and respect. And 2, you're walking through the photon into your imaginary mirror, and coming into your avatar, and you're waking up. And I'm going to count 1 3 times, and when I say 1 the last time, I will snap my fingers, and you'll be right back here. See it clearly. And 1, you're back in your avatar, and you feel your body, and you feel refreshed and renewed, and every cell of your body has been rejuvenated by bringing in the prana into every cell and seeing your mitochondria energized, see it clearly. And 1, you're stretching and you're opening your eyes and you're awake and you feel safe and secure, and you've had a great journey and you feel really happy and really relaxed and ready to go forth, either to go to sleep or to get up and go to work, or to, take forth the afternoon, the evening, the day, whatever it is. See it clearly. And 1, you're back here now. So what'd you think, guys? Let's see what you had to say. Whoopsie. Let's see. Let's see. Let's go back. Hello, I'm back. 5G. I was going to ask about traveling back thousands of years ago in the exact spot to look what was there. Yep. Did you do that? I took you back before the mountains were worn down. I took you down into, Middle Earth, before human Earth, before the dinosaurs. So, Aiden, did you see any of that? And that's a good example of all you have to do is visualize what you want to see. You don't need me to take you there, right? Not sure. It's pretty scary stuff. Yep. In your Akashic record, I meant to say. And your Akashic record. I meant to say. I'm saying this is all happening in your Akashic record. Rhonda said maybe escape taxes. Was that Texas? Huh? Albert Pike, creator, Ku Klux Klan. Yep, 33-degree, right? And the guy who brought us the First, Second, and Third World Wars. John Hutchison discovered how to levitate objects. Yes. And he was so good at it. And once he kind of got him, activated, they like blew through his roof and kept going into outer space. Yep, the Men in Black visited him. He's an interesting, I think he's still alive. He tried. They gave him a hard time. He's one of the modern day Teslas. I mean, there are a lot. He's not the only guy. Because, 0-point energy is like ridiculously simple. Again, I've got a lot of stories of that, and they're all, wouldn't you know it, in one of those 600 plus stories that I have on Dreamy Dreamland with Sensei Al Bob. Go look at them. It says videos, and then you've got to go through them all. And someone said, oh, you have to make an index. Well, there would be 600 and something indexed things, that you would have to go find. Much better that you find it using your own intuition. That's why I did that. So you could exercise these gifts that you have that you're not too good at using them yet. But practice makes perfect. Yeah, I'm looking better. Don't I look good? Ooh, look at that Albert Einstein hair. Again, we should all visit our sister Emily, right? And help her out. She's got a Patreon. She's got it all wired in. So me, you got to go on whatchamacallit. Hey, I figured this out. Maybe I'll figure out Patreon. But, you can mail me stuff or you can send it Western Union. Okay, Mystic. Everyone in Jesus. Yep. Her channel is, let's see, it's called Emily Windsor. Emily Windsor. And Emily Windsor Cragg. Emily Windsor, WINDSOR/CRAGG, right? So everyone give it a try. Go check it out. You can hit that thing and go to it. Put it on your list to go to, right? And go to my playlist and you will see, liked videos. Emily Craig, San Francisco, Jenny, Justin, Andrea. Boom, boom, boom. Boop, boop, boop. Let's see. Okay. So here are on my playlist, there's Emily Windsor, Mike Busey, and the Trustiness. It's a good one. Crow House, Doctor Who, Stanley Kubrick, Star Trek, David Bowie, Anonymous, Freemasonry, Truly Grateful. That's another good one. David Icke, Strange Science, Mind Control, MK, Secret Stuff, UFO Disclosure, Stop the Crime, Graham Hancock, another guy who's right up there with my faves. Jimmy Dore, of all of those newsy kind of ones, that's my favorite, right? He hasn't quite sold out yet. He's telling him that he wants the check, just like me. Hey, send me the check. I'm ready, you know? Silent Weapons, Strange Science, Dr. Catherine, that girl is off the hook, right? SNL, UFOs, Dr. Steve Greer, Wilcox UFO, Fake News Sphere, Babylon 5, Donnie Chump, Watch This, Diamond Weather, Fake News Sphere. So anyway, so Emily Windsor. So go on to my Dreamy Dreamland channel and go to my playlist, and those are the and I did break them down. There's 300 and something shows, and I kind of broke them down. I guess there's 404. So anyway, there you go. It's been 2 hours and 31 minutes. So was there? She had no eyes. She screamed at me. Stop trying to suck from the other people. Something like take from yourself only. Heroin, Jesus, kind of got to be a little. That's So I assume that's kind of what you saw in your guided meditation, right? So can you break it down a little more? I know I am stream of consciousness guy, but so who was the she? First off, was it Emily? Maybe. Emily, she had no eyes. She screamed at me, stop trying to suck from other people. Something like take from yourself only. Well, that's pretty good advice. Because when you suck from other people, there's no free lunch. So if you're sucking from other people, you're going to pay for that. And when you take from yourself only, it's like me learning how to navigate the YouTube better in the last 5 days than I have before, right? And I wasn't sucking from my neighbor. He came in and, he really, he wasn't a YouTube guy, but he was a computer guy. So he had the confidence enough to navigate it with me sitting next to him, me taking notes. And he's not one of those guys like John, totally did it in 40 seconds. He spent a good hour slowly kind of, let's check this, what's that? And I'm taking notes. So now I kind of know what to look for, how to look for it, that kind of stuff. So I was assisted, but I didn't suck from him, and I took from myself because I was taking the notes, right? And I would ask the question, so how do we, I want to know how to do this. Let's try and find that, and we did it together. So, and that's co-creation. See, that's the key. Instead of sucking from someone, co-creating. And that's when great art, great beauty. I mean, that's why I liked working in theater and on movies, is because they're really amazing co-collaborative endeavors, meaning, you can't, if you try and make a movie all by yourself, well, I'm the greatest, I'm the director, I'm starring, I wrote it, I did the music, I did the editing, I did the cinematography, you're going to be one burnt out dude, and the thing you're making will be a piece of shit, Whereas if you do it collaboratively, it's going to be this really great smorgasbord, not a Velveeta, cheese ball, but a beautiful, salad bowl. What's up, Bam? Hope everyone is well. Yep, we're all good. We just finished up our guided meditation into the doorway at the base of the French Broad River in Asheville, North Carolina, into Middle Earth before time, right? So, and you can still there, buddy. Just go into your Akashic record and close your eyes and say, where did the family, the cadre, what was the last end? Or, better, and isn't this amazing? You can just go to Dreamy Dreamland and Sensei Al Bob and view this video and watch the whole thing over again. And when we go into guided meditation, you can go along for the ride. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? That's really amazing that this channel, Dreamy Dreamland, unlike any other channel, allows everyone to experience all 601 years worth of shows cyclically, shamanically, individually, and being with the cadre at the same time. That's pretty amazing stuff. Anyway, so that's where we're at with that. The power of technology, yeah. And I kind of, the power of technology, I kind of got it together as I told the story. And again, researching, go back and watch this video. I kind of told the story. And the last few stories this day and today kind of got things in hand, and yet sucks it to bro. What's that mean? Can you be more elaborate there on that one? They stopped allowing our streaming capabilities, but we're streaming right now, aren't we? Or are we doing this telepathically? Right? I thought they interrupting the streaming thing. I just figured out how to do it again, with the help of my neighbor who didn't know how to do it either. We did it together. We collaborated. My mobile device. Yep. Yeah. Well, the way to fix that, guys, is everyone put it together to get 1,000 subscribers on Dreamy Dreamland, and bingo, my mobile device will be there. But this is kind of cool that I do this on this, and then I use the mobile device to do this.
That don't understand the difference between the eternal and the physical don't go anywhere, and people aren't taught that in their religion, okay? Heaven is composed of intelligences that no longer experience causes and effects, and they are composed of atoms that vibrate at a much higher rate of vibration than we do, and that's why they're very diffused like clouds and they move around, but they're just as intelligent as we are, okay? And where doesn't make any sense to them, and when doesn't make any sense to them, because causes and effects don't make any sense to them, and so why doesn't make any sense to them either. How do we know this is true? Well, you look at the prayer that Jesus taught his followers. You'll notice it was never framed as a question. There was no who, what, when, where, or why in that prayer. The prayer was made up of positive statements, okay? And that's how we have to communicate with the eternal beings, is with affirmations and positive statements. And that's why the occult religion sounds so silly, because...
And that's what we do here on Dreamy Dreamland. We make positive affirmations with prayer, right? And with going into state. That's why I do this with you guys, is to get you to do this yourself. This is a tool. If you want a positive life, if you want, it's with, good thoughts, good words, good actions, good deeds, good outcomes. And that is the general rule. Now, because of what's going on within the construct of the Luciferian illusion of materialism, we have been all living this, monetary life rather than spiritual life. And all through history, if you go back and look at the Tartarian Empire, which was the Roman Empire, they were about laws. And if you go, what's good about Emily, she really has it down. She can give you the history of all of this stuff. So I suggest Heroin and Jesus, you go check this girl out because there's a lot of good stuff. You too, research. Have you checked in with Emily and her channel? Just, guys, go on my Dreamy Dreamland. Go to, my, what do we call that? My playlist, right? And there it is. And it's Emily Windsworth, #1, top of the list, right? Right up there, right? And then liked videos is everything. And then Truthiness, which is kind of fun. Crow House, this guy is the bomb. I like this guy a lot. So here, let's take a look at one of his.
Human beings are limited only by what we allow ourselves to be limited by, our own minds. We are each the masters of our own reality. When we become self-aware to this, absolutely anything in the world is possible. Master yourself, become the king of the world around you. Let no odds, chastisement, exile, doubt, fear, or any mental virus prevent you from accomplishing your dreams. Never be a victim of life. And this week's opening quote comes from Mike Norton. Welcome to Surviving the Matrix, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Maxwell Egan. It's a pleasure to be with you once again, and I will be your host for the next hour. I've been getting a great deal of emails lately from people, mainly young people, who are having a little bit of a difficult time making it through this world, this reality. I mean, the situation that they're growing up in is certainly vastly different to the situation I grew up in. The world is very different now to what it was back when I was a child. So I'd like to attempt to address some of these questions that people are directing towards me, also some of the comments that have been posted on YouTube clips lately, and to try to create some sort of perhaps a philosophical overview of how I've approached certain situations in my life, in the hope that this may perhaps assist some people in the situations that they're.
So go check that guy out. He's got a lot of good stuff on his channel. Indeed. Yep. Another shrimp on the Barbie. So Heroin and Jesus, are you in Australia? Because when I was in Australia in 1977, heroin was one of the people thought that was the groove thing to do. Did you know Punch Hawks? Heroin and Jesus, if you're in Australia, do you know Punch Hawks? Did you ever read her novel or the novel Monkey's Paw, which is about a group of artists in Sydney, and they're all heroin addicts doing art? Did you ever see that one? Yep. It's all about moving through the fear, basically eliminating the fear, evacuating the fear, Not in Australia, but yeah, I've heard of that. Okay. So, what can I say? We're moving towards 3 hours, and I think, unless there's nothing, again, I would love tomorrow, I don't know, I have another busy day to do things, and then maybe I'll get to, if I'm out and about, I will do a live chat on during the day. Look for a live chat coming off of Alibaba Owl, right? Because I can use my device to do that. And tomorrow evening, I will do a Dreamy Dreamland from my laptop. And as long as I can do that, I will do that. Once it gets warm, really warm, once I had a word from the Deep Green, and it's still cold. So, I mean, it's south of here by, 100 and something miles, and yet it's elevated above this. And so it's colder than this, No, the school is cold, above 1,800 feet above the valley. Valley's turning all green. The trees up here haven't even started to bud. So, that's nature. Neil Kramer. Yes. Heard that name. I will have to go check it out, though. I'm writing it down as I speak. And I'm going to go on this little device and see who Mr. Kramer is. YouTube, Neil Kramer.
People all over the planet are waking up.
We're waking up.
Right now on Higher Journeys Radio with Alexis Brooks.
Spiritual sovereignty. I like that. In a mad world.
The forces that craft and peddle control on this planet, though in existence for perhaps millennia, appear to be immutable, too powerful to sink or fail. But for some on this planet, and what spiritual philosopher and teacher Neil Kramer calls empire, the rules and rulers of this global game just don't exist. Neil joined me to discuss his thoughts on what it takes to walk a sovereign path, even amid this mad world of containment and control.
Alexis
and in his
Brooks,
signature blend of eloquence and honesty, his message is simple but profound. Listen to what Neil had to share.
Well, let's listen. Spiritual sovereignty in
In
a
a
mad
world
world.
that by all appearances has gone outright mad, there's one individual who I consider to be my own intellectual, spiritual, philosophical saving grace, and I happen to have him here with me today, and that's none other than Mr. Neil Kramer. Neil, without question, I refer to you as one of the greatest spiritual philosophers of our time, hands down, and I know I'm not alone in that assessment. So I know it's going to be a treat to engage in a discussion with you today about this mad world that we're watching unfold before us. But within that, we're going to delineate how each of us can, if we so desire, walk a sovereign and self-empowered path, despite the pull to get us to do anything but. So welcome, Neil.
Thank you for having me here, and thank you for those kind words.
Well, it's the truth. I speak the truth, and again, I know I'm not alone in that assessment, so it's a pleasure to have you. Well, listen, as I told you over email, we've been kind of going back and forth a little bit on what we'd be discussing when we first decided to do the show. I was so incredibly moved by a relatively recent interview you did with Regina Meredith on her show, Open Minds, which I love on the Gaia television network. And the discussion you were having with her is one that I'd like to continue today. And that's about having self-authority in a polarized world. I know it's a loaded topic, and we can go off in many different directions with this idea of polarization. But I want to start with this question, if I may, Neil. Mm-hmm. It seems that humans have this habituation toward taking sides, of choosing one side or another on various issues, lifestyles these days, now more than ever. Where do you think this pull to pick a side comes from? And is it instinctual, you think, or learned behavior?
I think it's learned behavior, and I think it stems from the system of world governance that was set in place around about the time of what we would call ancient Egypt. And the rulers, the godmen, who were appointed under very dubious circumstances, which is a whole other discussion, have an unbroken lineage from then to now, completely unbroken, both in ethos and bloodline and all kinds of strange esoteric matters. But to focus on the bit that answers your question, I think, they discovered a long time ago, and it's probably easier to see it in the time of Rome, where we have more effective and more articulate
chronicles of the time. If you look at Roman Empire, the Romans were masters of population manipulation, social control, social steerage. And they realized that instead of having physical force to control a population, it's far better to do it by controlling what they think. And very quickly, they discovered that if you control the language,
if you control the language, if you control the money, if you control the semen, if you control the thing is, the individual conscious free will allows itself to be controlled. Bottom line is, if we don't allow that control, we short out all of that stuff he's talking about. You know? And it's pretty simple. All you have to do is go in state. All you have to do is meditate. All you have to do is pray. All you have to do is go into your Akashic record and then travel to your superconscious mind. Those are the tools that you, the individual, singular cell of the collective, all our relations, needs to do. That's all we got to do, right? That's why I do this show, not to, take anything back from anybody else's show. I do this so you can have the experience, just like I sat down with my neighbor who was a computer guy, but not a YouTube guy. He didn't do social media at all. He just did programming and stuff. So he was, familiar. He could type better than I could. And he was familiar with certain levels of protocol. But we co-created my ability to bring forth back a certain semblance of my platform here, right? And to have a little more understanding of how to navigate, the platforms of social media. But I did it singularly to serve Love's Co-Creation by being your Sensei Al Bob as your griot, right? So the responsibility is with you. I can't make you do anything. I can give you the tools. I can give you the access. But you guys have to practice. You have to do your homework. I put that playlist up and figured out how to break it down into categories so you could go and take a look at that stuff, right? Again, I have 600 plus shows on my Dreamy Dreamland channel. And all you got to do is go on video and it'll be all lined up. And all you have to do is go, and wherever it stops at, hit that and view it. And, you can, way I look at all those things is, I do the same, then one there. And if I want to see that, I'll hit it. And then, and they're all live chats. So I can move the little red thing to the almost end of the show and all of the live chats up. And I kind of can read all of those live chats within 2 or 3 minutes, which gives me a real good sense of what the show was about. And then I can, look at that one. And I can move the little red thing to whatever point, in the show it is, and watch that. And so I can look at that show within 5 minutes. It can be a 3-hour show. Like this one is 2 hours, 53 minutes, and 53 seconds. Another synchronistic moment. When it hits 3 hours, I'm out of here. And I will say thank you for being here. And let's get some subscribers. I think it would be great to do that in the next 2 weeks. Get 1,000 on both channels, just to show the powers that shouldn't be that, because they freaking made that rule up. At 2 o'clock, I put a live chat from the library from my phone. And then when I, around 4 or 5 o'clock, and then when I went to put it up around 8 p.m., it said, sorry, we just made a new protocol that you have to have 1,000, So And then it took me 5 days to, even after the next day, I brought out this laptop, which I haven't, John gave it to me around my birthday. That's around, a few weeks ago, and didn't play with it at all because my phone was good enough for me. And I really didn't want to involve John. And then I tried to, and then John, let me show you how to do it. He actually just was at the keyboard 40 seconds and it went nuts, right? And I could barely do anything. But he invented about 3 new channels for me. And anyway, so my neighbor, we kind of went back and picked at it and figured out it and got it under control where I can understand it, right? And that's what you have to do with your abilities of going into state, right? With you using your own Akashic record, with you using all the tools that I've shown you, right? The stream on the other channel, which has 10 scripts, kind of silly when you're trying to build an audience. But that's, I can, stream on this laptop, but it's a Chrome thing, meaning can only do it when I'm hooked up to the internet. Whereas my phone, I can do it anywhere. So anyway, like I said, wouldn't it be grand if in the next 2 weeks I could get 1,000 subscribers on both channels just to say, in your face, Facebook. I'm doing both channels, thing. And I'm, my major channel is Dreamy Dreamland. And so, yes, I'll be doing that. But, when I go in the deep green, you guys are going to have to go on, I've got 600 plus shows on Dreamy Dreamland. Each is a specifically different topic and motif. They're all shamanically energized. They're all ceremonial. They're all just like I do. So I would suggest you guys start watching, going back and looking at all the old shows and experiencing them shamanically. And then talking to me on the Dude Awake 42 at Gmail. But as long as I'm here and have access to good Wi-Fi, I can use my laptop and do this live chat like I'm doing right now until YouTube changes the motif again, which they can. And that's why I'm suggesting you guys everyone should take all of these shows and put them on thumb drives and flash drives and their hard drives and CD-ROMs. And you should have a library of all of this yourself. So, no matter what happens, it's out there in the universe. And you can put it on other channels. You can make other channels. You can do, science fiction theater and play my show and have sock puppets in front of the screen. Or whatever you want to do. It's called co-creation, not masturbation. Everyone masturbates when you get a little, you need that release, but it's best not to, because you're spilling that seed. Did anyone ever see Dr. Strangelove? And there was that Air Force general or colonel who all he could talk about was his semen, and then he basically caused the end of the universe as we know it. And that's what happens when you masturbate. You're bringing the end of the universe as we know it closer and closer. The more you masturbate. Now, it's all right to masturbate if you're doing it with somebody else, and that's called petting, right? Yes, life force energy. Yep, you got it. Research, I'll talk to you later. Give me a buzz. Let's see. We're almost at 3 hours. It's 2 hours, 59 minutes, and 6 seconds. Oh, it's going back and forth. Look at that. 6, 7, 6, 7, 6. We're now playing with time, kids. So it's doing it again. Wow. I love this shit. Anyway, So 28, 29, 30, 30. So go, be well. I love you all. Say good.